Today's reading comes from the book of Genesis, chapter 12, verses 1 through 9. Now the Lord said to Abram, "Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed." So Abram went as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old, and when he departed from Haran, Abram took his wife Sarah and his brother's son Lot, and all the possessions that they had gathered, and the persons whom they had acquired in Haran. And they set forth to go to the land of Canaan. When they had come to the land of Canaan, Abram passed through the land to the place at Shechem, to the oak of Moreh. And at that time the Canaanites were in the land. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." So he built an altar there to the Lord, who had appeared to him. From there he moved on to the hill country on the east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east, and there he built an altar to the Lord and invoked the name of the Lord, and Abram journeyed on by stages toward the Negeb. The word of God for the people of God.
Good morning, church. It is a day that is always noticeable to me that the level of ambient sound, I won't say noise, just ambient sound in the room is down because the Modern Family's Sunday school class is on retreat. And so they are at the beach this week with their 32 adults and 33 children, so outnumbered again. And of course, our youth are away, our high school youth are away on the Appalachia Service Project as well. And so both of those groups are in our prayers today as we gather. We are a church that believes that every person is a beloved child of God on a journey to God, with God. These are words that we say each week at the beginning of worship, right? If you don't know that, then maybe you should try being on time for worship. Because we say it every week, right at the top of the service. We're a church who believes in the journey. I personally believe that we are all on one, and that our journeys, each of our journeys, is the confluence of several journeys all together at once that we are on at the same time. Perhaps you are about to retire, and that is a big part of your journey right now. But you're also watching your child go through a divorce, and you're re-examining your faith in the midst of both of those things. Or perhaps you are starting a new job, your first real career job. And you're also dating for the first time in a few years, and you're trying to find God in the midst of both of those things. Each one of these is a journey, a particular moment on a particular journey, a larger journey that's made up of those several small journeys, each of them more or less enviable. On Friday, I was driving down the road, and I went through a part where the road was just a little rough. You know, when you can feel the joint in each segment of the highway as you go, so it feels and it sounds like you're driving on a dotted line. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. You know that feeling. Immediately, it brought me back to a year ago, traveling up Interstate 30 in Arkansas on the way to Appalachia Service Project. And I thought of the journey that those youth and adults are now on, even today. This morning, they are worshiping in Knoxville, Tennessee, and then they'll head on toward Harlan, Kentucky, not before they stop at the original KFC, of course. but where they will spend the week blessing and being blessed by folks there. And as I listened down the road to that ba-dum, 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 I was envious of the journey that they are beginning. Then I ran into a lady that I know at the grocery store. I can't go to the grocery store without seeing one of you, really. This lady, her daughter is in my daughter's dance class. And the last time I saw her, she was very pregnant. And when I saw her this week, she and her husband had just brought the new baby home to join her 4-year-old big sister and her 19-month-old big sister. And I remembered that moment on my own journey of bringing the new baby home to the 4-year-old and the 19-month-old. And I did not feel that same sense of envy. Not on that one. But I was grateful to have come through that part of the journey and be able to walk with her for it. We're all on a journey. What journey are you on today? What are the twists and the turns that you've come through lately? What are the mountains that you've climbed and the treacherous valleys that you've passed through? Where have you had the joy of the wide paved road? And where have you had to bushwhack your way through? And where has God been throughout all of that? This summer, we are talking about our journeys all summer long, these journeys that we're on in life and the God who is with us throughout those journeys. Next week, we'll talk about the journeys that we don't choose for ourselves, but that are thrust upon us. As we get into July, we'll talk about wandering in circles on that journey when it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. We'll talk about those threshold moments that you cross, about interruptions, traveling companions, overcoming obstacles on that journey. Our hope is to help you to take a look at and reflect on the journey that you are on, and to be able to see where God is active in the midst of it, perhaps to see the journey a little differently in light of that. And of course, all of this is connected with our Journey with God postcard project this summer, which some of you have been participating in already. We're inviting you to to send a postcard from wherever your journey takes you this summer. Send a postcard back to church and write down an answer to one of those reflection questions about where you've seen God, or a prayer for the person or the place that you've visited. We're cataloging those out front in the foyer in a book that you can go through, and you can see the ways that others have responded to that, where others have seen God in their journeys this summer. You can look at the map and see where people have gone. Now, we asked you this morning at the beginning of worship, what is a journey that you recently began? In other words, where has there been a new start or a new turn on your journey? Something new and unknown, perhaps. Abram was 75 when his journey took a new turn. He was not a complete stranger to this God who asks strange things of people. After all, he was a descendant of Noah. Remember that? So this was crazy, though. God said to Abram, "Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you." None of us really like that part, do we? To the land that I will show you. Wouldn't it be better, God, if you just show me now? I have a map. Just here, guide my finger to the place where you want me to go. I really need to know the destination so that I know how to pack, right? Is this a beach or a mountain trip? Do I need to dress up at any point? I'm going to need something better than go to the land that I will show you. It reminds me of a blessing written by Jan Richardson. If you don't know of Jan Richardson's work, she writes books of blessings that are these Just wonderful, prayerful, poetic gifts. And she wrote this one in reference to a different Bible story, but I think at least part of it applies to this moment for Abram. She writes, "If you could see the journey whole, you might never undertake it, might never dare the first step that propels you from the place you have known toward the place you know not." We are such a finite people. We want to know the end of things. We want the last few pages of the story, to read it ahead of time. We want an assurance that everything is going to end all right, perhaps some assurance that this path, this journey really is of God, and not just my own whims, my own desires. We want to know the destination in order to take the first step. Just tell me where we're going, God, and then I can say yes. Then I can take that first step. But God instead invites us, come to a land that I will show you. God invites us to be here for the journey, not to skip the richness of the journey and all of the learning and the growing and loving along the way. Last month, 2 members of our congregation attended something called Candidacy Summit. It's a 2-day retreat for those who are exploring the possibility that God may be calling them to ordained ministry. Candidates, I think there were about 50 of them this time, from all over Southwest Texas, from Austin to McAllen to Sterling City to Del Rio, all over Southwest Texas. They all came together to take this first big new step on this new journey. And of course, we know that it's not really the first step, right? Even this new journey is part of a much longer, larger journey. And each one of these folks has some winding path that they can show you where God has led them to come this far. But Brad King and Melissa Biegert. Melissa, are you here? There she is, back in the back. She's standing up and waving. Brad and Melissa took this big step into this new journey. And let me just ask them, do you know where this journey will end? Good. Thank you for playing along. Melissa, do you know where the journey will end? No. No, they don't. They still have questions, right? About what will come next, about what is down the road for them. They're working with a small group of candidates here in the Austin area, and they're meeting together and discerning together. They're trying on leadership roles, listening to the people who know them really well. They're asking for your prayers as they go on this journey to see where it leads, because they don't know the destination. Go to the land that I will show you. It takes an enormous amount of trust, doesn't it? The destination would make it so much easier to say yes to the journey. I mean, maybe, right? To take the first step. But the truth is, for Abram and for us, the destination is not the thing that makes the journey possible. What we need is the promise. What God gives is a promise. Go to the land I will show you, God says, and I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. God makes this promise to bless Abram, to make him a blessing. It's not exactly the destination that we might be looking for. There's no address, there's no GPS coordinates, there's no location for where this journey will end. But instead, God's promise holds the purpose of the journey itself. The promise is blessing. The purpose of the journey is blessing. that you will be blessed and that blessing will be passed through you so that the whole world is blessed. God's promise reveals that the purpose of the journey may not be to actually arrive at a particular place, but rather to experience and to offer God's blessing along the way. You see, the thing that makes the journey possible is not the destination, it's the promise. God's promise is the ground on which we're able to take those first tenuous steps. Even if we are afraid and unsure, even if we don't know where we're going to end up, how bad it may get along the way. The thing that God gives us at the start of every journey is a promise. I will bless you, and I will make you a blessing. And it turns out that was the purpose of the journey anyway. Neely Cardwell, right here in front, she begins a new journey today. A journey on which she has been invited to go, and her parents have been invited to take her, without any knowledge of where it will go and where it will end. Today she'll be baptized, and she will begin that journey with God, exploring and discovering who this God is and what it's like to go with God on all of her journeys. She'll begin that journey with you. And you are perhaps the first ones through whom God's promise will be true. Through you, she will be blessed. Blessed with nurture and care, a sense of belonging. And you will actually be among the first to receive the blessings that she will offer through the joy of her presence, smiles that light up the day, the way that she will bring out the best in us and focus us and remind us of who we're called to be and how important everything that we do here really is. To journey together, receiving and offering the blessings of God. Is that a journey that you can say yes to? Abram doesn't even negotiate. He just goes. With the promise of God's blessing, he packs everybody up, and then he takes those first few scary steps. So will you go? When God invites you on a journey, will you go trusting that the blessing will be enough? Go. Go to a land that I will show you. Even though you don't know the destination, go anyway. Even though the journey may be difficult, go anyway. Go with the promise. God will bless you, and you will bless the world. Thanks be to God. Amen.